Look at this photo of a smiling woman holding massive, thick garlands of white flowers. If you visit the Philippines, this is often the first gesture of welcome you'll receive. You'll also see these flowers here, draped across Catholic altars and religious statues, as a marker of absolute purity. This map traces the 17th century migration of the Jasminum sambac. Following the glowing line from the Himalayas down into the archipelago, we see that the ultimate botanical symbol of the Philippines actually originated hundreds of miles away, high in a foreign mountain range. How did an imported vine convince an entire nation that it was their ancient indigenous symbol? When biology doesn't provide an origin story, human culture steps in to invent one. To naturalize an alien object into a national identity, you give it a tragic myth. Long before Spanish colonization, a coastal barangay, an independent kingdom, fell into chaos following the sudden death of its wise king. This reference sheet illustrates the gold insignia and staff of authority of a Tagalog queen. The young Princess Lakambini suddenly inherited this exact regal burden right as rumors of a ruthless foreign invasion began to spread. Lacking any military experience, she accepted the protection of Lakan Galing, a noble prince from a neighboring kingdom who arrived with his fleet of warriors. Bound together by the crushing dread of the impending attack, the two young rulers formed an intense, desperate romance. But Lakan Galing knew the tactical reality. Waiting on the shore for the invaders to arrive meant certain defeat. They had to intercept the enemy in deep waters. So he readied his men to leave the safety of the barangay and sail their fleet directly into the unknown waters. On the eve of the fleet's departure, the prince and princess stood alone on a steep hill overlooking the vast, dark ocean. Standing in the moonlight, they made a desperate vow. They whispered the words, Sampaguita, a phrase meaning, I promise you, or I swear my vow to you. That specific phrase transformed a temporary wartime alliance into a mythological, eternal promise. Every morning after the fleet departed, Lakambini returned to that exact hill. She stood and scanned the empty horizon for returning sails. Weeks bled into years. Punishing monsoons gave way to scorching sunshine, and yet the vast ocean remained entirely, completely empty. Finally, the news reached the shores. Lakan Galing's fleet had been destroyed in a distant naval battle, and the prince was dead. The grief broke Lakambini. She wasted away and died, and her people buried her on the very hill where the vow was made. By entombing their fallen queen in that exact spot, the villagers planted the seed of their tragedy directly into the Philippine soil. Shortly after her burial, a botanical anomaly occurred. A creeping, unknown vine erupted straight out of her grave mound. As you can see in this close-up, the plant produced delicate, star-shaped white blossoms that released an incredibly sweet fragrance. Decades later, residents of Manila claimed they could hear a ghostly female whisper carried on the May winds, desperately repeating the phrase, Sampaguita. Over generations of oral retelling, dialects blended, and that whispered vow, Sampaguita, slowly morphed into the name Sampaguita. This linguistic evolution masked the flower's true Himalayan origins, creating a homegrown narrative that permanently indigenized the plant. Fast forward to 1934. The American colonial government set out to officially select a unifying, recognizable national symbol for the Philippines. Governor General Frank Murphy, pictured here walking alongside military officers, bypassed native botanical species entirely. He officially decreed the Sampaguita as the national flower, driven strictly by the cultural weight of the Lakambini myth. The Sampaguita proves that the emotional power of a tragic romance can overwrite biological history to forge a nation's identity. To see more Alamat, please subscribe, hit like, and ring the notification bell.